you ever had a potential client say, "Oh, that sounds interesting, I'll get back to you," and then they disappear? Or maybe people like your posts or even ask about your lessons, but when it comes to actually booking, they hesitate. 9 times out of 10, it's not about them, it's about your offer. Today, I'm going to share the 3 most common mistakes I see freelance teachers making with their offers. Mistakes that can keep you stuck, undervalued, and underbooked. I'm Rachel Roberts from Earn, Learn, Thrive, and I help freelance language professionals build sustainable, scalable businesses they actually enjoy running. In the last video, we looked at what makes an offer compelling, the essentials of audience, promise, and container. But knowing the theory doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it in practice. And over the years of coaching teachers, I've seen the same 3 mistakes crop up time and time again. So let's break them down. The first mistake is vagueness. And the number 1 example of that, confidence. I help you feel more confident in English. Well, on the surface, that sounds great. I mean, who doesn't want to be more confident in a language? But confident for what purpose? Ordering a coffee, making friends, chairing an international board meeting, passing IELTS. When you stop at confidence, you leave the outcome undefined, and clients don't know whether you can actually help with their specific situation. It's a bit like hiring a personal trainer who says, "I'll help you get fitter." Do they mean strong enough to run a marathon? Or just fit enough to walk up the stairs? So without more detail, it doesn't really land. So here's the question to ask yourself. If your promise could apply to anyone who was learning the language you teach, it's too vague. Specificity is what makes people think, yes, that's me, that's what I need. The second mistake is overcomplication and overwhelm. And this usually happens when teachers are trying to prove their value. They throw in everything that they do: weekly lessons, vocab banks, email support, bonus resources, WhatsApp access, lifetime materials, the list goes on. The idea is that the more that you add, the more valuable it looks. But the reality is that it just overwhelms people, because your clients don't want just a laundry list of features. They need to understand how what you offer will actually help them to achieve the results that they're looking for. If you think about Apple advertising an iPhone, they don't list every chip and wire and processor that they use. They show you the result, that the photos are stunning, that the performance is fast, that the battery life is good. So your offer needs to feel like that, clear and not overly cluttered. The third mistake is defaulting to pay-as-you-go lessons. So this is when teachers say, you can just book an hour with me whenever you like and we'll see what happens. And the problem with having this hourly rate, rather than having a clear offer that leads to a clear result, is that it puts all of the responsibility onto the client to decide what they need, how many lessons, and for how long. And most people don't know. And if they don't know, then it's harder for them to make that commitment. They want you to know. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to have a guaranteed result. Obviously, we know as language teachers that we can't guarantee results because it very much depends on the individual. However, what you do want is to be able to give them some sense that you've walked this path before and that you know what it takes for somebody like them in their situation with their kind of challenges to get from the point they're at now to the point that they want to be at. And hourly lessons just don't give that sense of you having that overall understanding of the process and ability to help them through it. It also keeps you stuck trading time for money, because you're selling single slices of your expertise instead of a structured pathway that can create real results. If you imagine joining the gym and the pitch was, well, come whenever you like, do whatever you like, you're much, much less likely to invest in it and stick with it. But if you signed up for a 6-week program that had a clear goal, had milestones along the way, and you had faith in the personal trainer to get you to that point, then you're far more likely to sign up and to keep going. And it's the same with your clients. Now, if you recognize yourself in any of these typical mistakes, don't beat yourself up. These mistakes are incredibly common and they usually come from the very best of intentions. Vagueness comes from wanting to appeal to everyone and even not to exclude anyone. Overcomplication comes from wanting to prove your value. So you list everything that you can think of. And defaulting to an hourly paid lesson comes from habit, because that's how most of us were trained to think about teaching. But the problem is that these instincts or typical ways of doing things keep you stuck in the same cycle. Too few clients or the wrong kind of clients, low commitment, low willingness to invest in their progress, and endlessly having to change and customize what you do to fit the needs of all of these different types of clients. So when you move past these mistakes, the shift can be dramatic. Instead of vague promises, you have the kind of clarity that will attract the right clients, because they'll be able to see instantly why you would be such a good fit, why you're what they've been looking for. Instead of overcomplication or overwhelm, you have a simple, memorable pathway from A to B. And instead of open-ended lessons, you have a structured offer that clients actually commit to. And that's when your offer can really start selling itself, because it finally makes sense to the people that you most want to work with. So let me ask you, does your current offer lean too heavily on vague ideas like confidence or fluency? Do you find yourself adding more and more features, thinking that it will look more impressive or that this is what will make you stand out from the others? Or are you still selling single lessons, hoping that people will keep coming back on their own? So if you answered yes to any of these, then it's a sign that your offer needs more definition and it needs refining. The truth is that spotting these mistakes in your own work is much harder than spotting them in someone else's, because you're close to your teaching and you probably are getting great results with your individual clients. It's easy to assume that people should be able to see the value of what you offer, when in reality, potential clients who are on the outside of that are still likely to be confused or unclear about why they should choose you rather than another teacher, particularly if they're not coming to you through referrals. That's why getting an outside perspective from a coach like me, working through a proven framework to design and develop your offer, and having the space and feedback to refine your ideas can make all the difference between an offer that people just don't get and an offer that people immediately are able to see the benefits of. And when you can do that, you don't just make your offer easier to explain, you make it easier for clients to buy into it and say yes. In the final video of this series, we're going to talk about what happens once you've got those basics right and how to then position and communicate your offer so that it resonates with the right people, so that you can get that confident yes. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. And if you'd like my support with defining and refining your offer, I'm running a live workshop on the 15th of October at 2 different times, the Trading Time for Money Breakthrough. Check the description for all the details, and yes, there will be a recording.